here's your host, Alex Garrett.
Man, I love this intro. That one is actually a cover from Recession, but Joker and the Thief, that theme carrying me into another day of Alex Garrett podcasting, and I have not commented on the Tyre Nichols horrible tragedy. The fact that he was screaming out for his mother just blocks away from his mom's house. The fact that they gave him 71 commands in 13 minutes. When you put on the badge, you are supposed to have a decorum, no matter the color of your skin. Unfortunately, I don't want this conversation in society to turn into, well, then let's get rid of community policing. Let's get rid of, police in general. I mean, that's always the generic, or, local police in general. That's not the conversation to have. No, because if you get rid of community policing, that just makes inner city policing that much more difficult. And keeping the inner city, keeping the urban areas safe, all go hand in hand. But you can't do that without saying, well, how do we reform all of this? And I don't know, has anything been accomplished to boost police reform through all of this tragedy? We have a young man dead at 29 after being tased, kicked, punched, chased around. And then, of course, the question is, are traffic stops, getting rid of them, the answer? And I gotta be honest, maybe these cameras that they're installing is a safer bet for drivers. Because if traffic stops are becoming an issue, things have to be changed with that too. But what have we accomplished? While I think it's admirable and honorable, the family of Tyre Nichols goes to the State of the Union, what are we accomplishing here? We always seem to say, well, here's tragedy, let's debate about what the police are supposed to do next, and then we move on. There cannot be moving on from this, though. There cannot be moving on from the fact of 71 commands in 13 minutes. There cannot be moving on from the horrible video we saw. And then I see a double amputee was shot. What's that about? That's horrible too. I believe he was shot and killed by the police. So, what will it take before we truly say, well, hey, police reform is happening. Things are happening to better the community and the police. And I'm stunned. Because I think the ultimate justice for Tyre Nichols has to be a change for once. There has to be a fix in this. It cannot just be, oh my God, look at this horrible video. Look at the body cams of these officers. And then boom, we have the funeral and then that's it. Tyre Nichols did not want to be famous for this, okay? I hate that too. Stop making him a martyr. He was tragically killed. He didn't want to die. He was killed mercilessly by 5 Memphis police officers. And the other update is that, 6, 7 officers have, 2 additional officers have been either suspended or kicked off the force, fired. And I'll say it here. The qualified immunity may not be the best answer anymore. It doesn't seem radical to say end qualified immunity. It doesn't. It actually makes the police officer maybe really protect the badge if he knows that he could be fired for his actions and not protected by the badge. It might make the civilian in question feel safer that, okay, he won't act a certain way because, or she, female cops as well, won't act a certain way because they could be fired for their actions, no questions asked. And maybe that's the route we have to go. I thought in the city ending qualified immunity was a good step. Because if we want law and order, don't our cops have to also provide the order? In addition to asking our citizens to be orderly, I guess in addition to asking our asylum seekers that we have here in the city to be orderly and go to the Brooklyn cruise terminal, we also have to ask that of those representing the badge. And those 5 Memphis police officers, while African American, that doesn't mean their actions are any less horrible. They are awful. And we have to fix this. And if it's a national end qualified immunity bill, maybe I would be for it at this point. I used to hate when de Blasio would say it a certain way that police and community need to interact with each other. And I still don't think he said it in the right way at all. I think it made people afraid of the police, and that's not the answer either. But I think ending qualified immunity, which protects a cop from being fired, if I'm not mistaken, could truly be the justice for Tyre that we're all tweeting about nearly a week later. Maybe ending qualified immunity is the answer where you should all be talking about and not be afraid to say an officer should be held to a standard when doing their job or be risk of being fired and not protected by the badge. Because if the officers know there's consequences, I think the civilian will feel a little more protected. I would hope so. So call me far left, call me radical, call me in the same camp as Ilhan Omar who tweeted about this. And trust me, I'm not. I actually think if you're going to say hateful things about America, you shouldn't be in any committee. But when you start to hear more end qualified immunity posts and stances, you start to see where that might make sense. Because how many times are we going to have to say justice for so-and-so at the hands of tragic police brutality before something gets fixed where the community feels safe and the cops feel safe to do their job, yet they know there is I wouldn't say feel safe, but feel like they can do their job and feel like they know consequences could happen coming into it. That might lead to more retirements and more quittings, which would be awful also. But maybe the justice for Tyre Nichols is ending qualified immunity. Maybe that's it. Maybe dedicating some of this $227 billion budget from Governor Hochul to, I'm going to say it, more and more community engagement with the police will help out the city situation and the rising crime we're facing here. Instead of honestly focusing on the migrant settlement. What about the New Yorkers that live here and want to be safe here? What about prioritizing them in the budget? Governor Hochul? Local police departments? What about prioritizing the people you are supposed to look after instead of looking after your own when they screw up, when they kill an innocent person at a traffic stop as a result of a traffic stop? Maybe you don't want to hear any of this. Maybe if you're conservative, you don't want to hear the cops should be in trouble and should be feeling consequences if they F up. And should be facing consequences and charges. But man, if you can say Alec Baldwin should be charged and should be responsible for this shooting on the set of Rust, you better damn believe the same goes for those who wear the badge. They are responsible for people's lives when they are looking, when they are stopping them in a traffic stop, when they are questioning them. Because I know they say don't run and comply, but that's not human nature either. And so I understand every police interaction, both lives could be at stake. And we have to mention that. But what also needs to be known is that the honor of the badge is at stake when we trust them to protect us, the American citizen. And when they don't, changes have to be made. Not just firing, but overall, top to bottom reform. And maybe it's time we say, end qualified immunity. I'm Alex Garrett, and this has been a elongated 5-minute fix. I mean, it's we've got to have one leg up on policing, don't we? And maybe that's the answer. Have a great night. And may there be justice for Tyre Nichols. And may we never see as many instances of this down the road. It's time to set examples of good policing, or show them as well, but set up standards for policing so that no one feels intimidated by the badge or protected by the badge. That's an even playing field. We'll talk to you soon.